More than ever before today, we are seeing a widening divergence between arms such as this, produced for leisure activities, and those intended for military purposes. On the one hand, there is the military specification for all weather and all conditions, and above all for intensive firepower, as in this British Army SLR. On the other hand, there's a growing number of people prepared to spend increasing sums of money on their sport and recreation, to spend £250 on a rifle like this, the Anschutz Olympic model.
In terms of general development, the really striking thing is that small arms have fundamentally changed so little over the past 80 years. The two arms raised here by each person in turn are separated from each other by a gap of at least 50 years, but the difference between them is very little apparent. Only in style is there any significant change. Pistols, military or leisure, like other small arms, tend to get smaller and lighter and more sleek in appearance. And modern guns are less prone to rust, their plastic components are less easily broken, and plating nowadays flakes less readily than in many older models. In the field of leisure guns, developments have always been aimed towards both the esoteric and the convenient.
Of course, the concept of arms of convenience is by no means novel. Take this walking stick, for example, the ideal companion for an evening stroll. About 70 years old, but the rabbits wouldn't notice that. Equally, in the field of esoteric arms, nothing is new under the sun. Take this little Calibri automatic pistol, a perfect miniature made 50 or more years ago. It has a small magazine which goes in the butt, and it functions just like any other automatic pistol.
The high-powered pistol with telescopic sights has been one of the more extreme American developments of leisure arms in recent years. Even with ordinary sights, this sort of pistol needs care to avoid accidentally knocking the sights out of adjustment. Yet it's a popular form with American sportsmen. A spin-off from the endless quest for greater accuracy in leisure arms has been the increasing popularity of hand-loading ammunition. Bullets are cast by hand. Charges of powder can be accurately measured out to the nearest tenth of a grain, often more precisely than the factory-made product, and cheaper too. The whole operation can easily be carried out at home with a small press to pull the cartridges together. Assembled with care, home-loaded ammunition can actually prove more accurate than the commercial product and provide the enthusiast with another facet to his hobby. Leisure arms are also good business. Growing nostalgia for the past is expanding the production of facsimile military arms and ammunition. Most people prefer to shoot original arms if they can get them, though they too need ammunition. But prices have risen so fast that you need to be pretty well heeled to afford an original 1850s rifle musket with a good enough barrel to shoot really straight. A good replica is much cheaper to buy. It will shoot very well indeed and certainly deceive the uninitiated. We are not far off the position in this country where the value of all these replicas manufactured exceeds that of all other leisure arms, if we exclude very fine and very expensive shotguns. From Birmingham, these replica rifle muskets are exported all over the world, and especially to the United States. And again, chiefly in America, there is another distinct group of leisure arms. Commemorative weapons, finely made and finished examples of some classic like the Colt 45 automatic pistol that are inscribed to commemorate historical events. In commemorative pieces like these, the enjoyment of collecting notable arms is perhaps mingled with a measure of financial investment, as well as with memories of war service. Survival is a serious matter. A gun may make all the difference. Special arms which float in water and do not easily corrode mark a point in specialization where leisure arms duplicate military needs. For the crashed flyer or shipwrecked sailor, civil or military, this gun is just the thing. The Liberator pistol was the cheap equivalent in the Second World War. In the new generation of survival arms, the barrel and action are well protected from corrosion until they are actually assembled. Arms which dismantle are nothing new. Neither is the idea of using the butt as a container for the rest of the weapon. But the combination of concepts breaks new ground. Modern materials are the key to the success of this sort of weapon. Light alloys and impervious plastic moldings make survival arms a real proposition. Earlier ones were not always highly regarded by those who found themselves obliged to rely on them. Few would now want to fire a Liberator, for example, unless they really had to. For shooting shark, this American underwater gun is ideal. It uses cartridges loaded with powder to project the harpoon. The whole gun is made of materials virtually unaffected by salt water. There is a choice of propellant cartridges in 6 different powers. The right one can be selected for the intended quarry. In a sense, an underwater gun like this is the ultimate in leisure arms, though its specialized military possibilities are quite obvious. In the military field proper, the dominant development of the past 100 years has been the adoption of smaller and smaller calibers, resulting in lighter and lighter rounds, so that if the soldier always carries about the same weight of ammunition, he is able to carry more and more with much greater firepower. These old high-power cartridges have a reduced caliber, only .22, but the weight saved in the bullet is more than lost in the massive case which houses a large powder charge in an attempt to keep up long-range performance. The small caliber gun may be lighter, but not the weight of ammunition. In the more modern military rifle, the caliber is often reduced to 5.56 millimeter, smaller than the .22. But the entire cartridge is scaled down, and the soldier can benefit either from a reduction in his overall burden or from an increase in his total firepower, though there's a price to pay, a loss in long-range accuracy. Very sophisticated sights are a modern feature of military arms. This one by rank costs about £2,000 and confers on the soldier virtually an ability to see and shoot by night without extra illumination. The SS-20 Mark I sight magnifies by 4 times and has image intensification of up to 100,000 times. With this sight, the British military sniper is probably better equipped for night fighting than any likely enemy. With military arms, unlike most of those for leisure use, appearance comes low on the order of priorities. Ease and cheapness of manufacture, durability and simple repair are the main things. The use of wood was bound to be a casualty of progress in manufacture. These butts being shaped at the Royal Small Arms Factory at Enfield are amongst the last wooden ones to be manufactured for military purposes in Britain. In place of wood, black plastic injection moldings are now used. Whatever the advantages of plastic in durability, it is distinctly lacking in agreeable surface texture. It's a much less pleasant surface to have pressed against the face as the gun recoils on firing. To go with the plastic parts, as much as possible of the metal action and body of the military arm are now produced by pressing. Precise fitting is now only found where precision is essential for the proper functioning of the mechanism. In the light of the modern manufacturing methods for military arms, the Thompson submachine gun belongs to a bygone era. It simply wouldn't be manufactured today. The American grease gun, the M3 of the Second World War, was nearer to the modern concept, but big and clumsy. The Scorpion is neat, compact, cheap and durable, truly an arm of modern time. Nowhere are the severe criteria of modern military arms manufacture more apparent than in the barrel. Entirely gone is the old method of individually cutting the rifling into the barrel. In its place, heavy machinery is used to hammer the rough barrel around a former, which is shaped to yield the appropriate pitch and contour of rifling required. The former, or mandrel, has all the rifling built up on it, so that unlike the old method of cutting, all the grooves are formed in the single hammering operation. As might be expected, the hammering of the barrel elongates it to the required length simultaneously with the process of rifling. The smaller components are often made by a modern refinement of a very old technique called lost wax. Cast in wax, the components are assembled in quantity on wax supports. Then they are invested with a series of coatings that dry hard on the wax pattern. The coating takes on all the exact intricate detail of the wax. When the wax is melted out and the coating baked hard, a fine mold has been produced into which molten metal may be poured to cast the required parts. All that remains is to sacrifice the mold. Plenty more can be made from new waxes by shaking it off the newly cast parts that have now cooled down inside. Finally, the individual part is separated off the tree from the others cast with it, and with a minimum of finishing assembled onto the gun. The completed weapon is test-fired by bench firing into a sawdust-filled box. After firing, the weapon is carefully inspected. The barrel especially is closely examined for flaws, simply by looking up it at the shadow cast by a bar and rotating it slowly. If all is well, then the proof marks are hammered onto the barrel. Enfield, as a government arms manufacturer, has its own mark. The 7.62mm SLR rifle is the current arm of Britain as part of NATO, but progress in arms continues. What will the rifle of the near future look like? It will be lightweight and it will suit any build. No space will be wasted. The magazine will sit behind the trigger. Much of the action will reach back into the butt in bullpup fashion. It will make extensive use of stampings and plastics, but it will stick to traditional steels where real durability is required. It will have an option on automatic fire or single shot. Short-range limitation will avoid the need for a tall back sight, and this will make straight stocking fully practical. Its barrel will be long enough for good short-range accuracy, and its caliber at 4.85mm small enough to make cartridges as light as possible.
With this particular layout of components, you've got a very straight line to the gun, very straight stocking indeed. And straight stocking means that you can point the gun well, quickly, and get off a fast, accurate shot. In fact, this is not the British Army's new rifle. It's the celebrated EM2, which for political reasons alone was laid aside in 1951, the rifle which might have been adopted long ago by the British Army. What will the form of the rifle of the future be? Your guess really is as good as ours. It could take almost any form. Science is advancing so fast that it could have a miniaturized radar set on a fairly conventional rifle. Or perhaps the soldier will carry his own personal laser. But whatever form the soldier's weapon takes in the future, there are those for whom the gun will always be a fine combination of polished walnut and blued steel.